A Maryland nonprofit is planning to end its management services for local charities despite receiving grants totaling millions of dollars from federal, state, and Baltimore City taxpayers.
Hey, Patrick Hall from our Spotlight on Maryland team investigates how taxpayer dollars jump from government agencies to nonprofits.
Fusion Partnerships announced an end to its fiscal sponsor program this year after more than 2 decades of nonprofit work in Baltimore. The group operated as a middleman for government agencies looking to fund grassroots organizations. We investigated what the end of this program means for taxpayers. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services awarded a grant to the Maryland Department of Health in 2022 to provide harm reduction services for drug users. The state agency then gave the funds to Fusion Partnerships, which then managed the funds for a nonprofit called the Baltimore Harm Reduction Coalition. That's just one example of how taxpayer dollars move in Maryland. And we know this because of a 2022 audit of Fusion showing a variety of different federal grant programs with the organization that led to a significant total of nearly 1.5 million taxpayer dollars. This taxpayer money came through the Federal Department of Treasury, HHS, and the DOJ, who awarded the funds to the Baltimore City government, Maryland Health Department, Morgan State University, and Maryland Governor's Office of Crime and Prevention. So where does Fusion come in? A process called fiscal sponsorships. Brian Mittendorf is a professor at Ohio State who specializes in nonprofit accounting. He said fiscal sponsors are typically used to handle government grants because they can manage smaller organizations that don't have a tax-exempt status.
A primary reason to do that is because it provides extra stability and assurances. And so if it turned out that stability wasn't there, then something went wrong somewhere along the way.
The audit of Fusion, issued in 2023 by Maryland-based L. Abrams and Company, found 5 significant deficiencies at the organization, including flaws in how it approved payments and issued conflicting financial reports. Less than 2 years later, Fusion announced the end of its fiscal sponsor program, which could strand dozens of Baltimore area charities.
Ultimately, the question is what happens if you get a grant on the basis of having a fiscal sponsor and then that fiscal sponsor goes away. That, of course, would put the grant in jeopardy.
Fusion told Spotlight on Maryland it's working to ensure the work of its partners continue. However, it did not respond to the following questions. How exactly does Fusion handle federal and state grant money? How is Fusion attempting to resolve active grants? Was Fusion awarded any other federal and state grants since 2022? None of the federal agencies responded to questions about how Fusion handled its money and whether the grant programs are still ongoing. The governor's office did not respond to requests for comment on its grants with Fusion. A spokesman for the Maryland Department of Health told Spotlight on Maryland that its federal grant with Fusion already ended. However, a spokesperson for Morgan State University said its grant program was being actively wrapped up due to Fusion's imminent closure and dissolution. Fusion is not the first fiscal sponsor program to fold in Baltimore. Strong City Baltimore folded in 2021 after facing similar struggles, and Thrive Arts folded in 2023 after operating for only 18 months. We'll continue to dig for answers on how fiscal sponsors spend your taxpayer dollars. For Spotlight on Maryland, I'm Patrick Huff.
Hi, I'm Maxine Stryker. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel, and check out Fox Baltimore on social media to find more stories like this.